We'll start in 1 minute or 30 seconds from now. Until then, I'll just warm us up for the talk. I'm Namisha here. I'm from ADI, which is the Association of Designers of India. We have the Hyderabad chapter, and ADI is a community of designers across disciplines. So it's not just from a particular institute or profession, but it's designers, academicians, students, practicing design, entrepreneurs, corporate employees, anybody related to the creative sector can become a member. The Hyderabad chapter started a year ago, and we have more than 50 members now. So we have these kind of events like Design Stories, which are talks almost every month. We're also having a workshop soon after in a few days, which is about trends with hosted by WGSN. So they'll be coming and hosting. That's on the 21st at Phoenix Arena. So if you'd like to stay updated, you can follow us on the ADI HYD chapter Facebook page, and you'll stay updated with these. If you'd like to become a member, that'll also be great. You can go to adi.org.in, look it up, become a member. It's a very nice community for networking and collaboration. So that is where ADI is coming from. We've been able to host this here thanks primarily to ISB and D-Labs. D-Labs is the acceleration and incubation wing of ISB. They've been helping startups at various levels with incubation and acceleration. And I'd especially like to thank someone called Parameshwaran Venkateshwaran, who was the key person in introducing us to ISB and was supposed to be the third speaker, but could not be here because of some really sad family event. So on behalf of all of us, we'd like to thank Param. And yes, it's 6:31, so we'll start. We have two speakers here who have some amazing experience. We'd like to start with Suresh, SVS Suresh. And he is a person who wears many hats. And I want him to introduce himself so that he can relate it to what he is doing. Suresh, please come and take the stage.
Thank you for this opportunity, by the way. Good evening, all. Good evening. My name is Suresh, and I'm very honored to be at ISB. I was always going from in front of this gate. We used to see, but it's great to come to this institution and give a small talk based on my experiences that I have in design. Before I start, I come here along with my wife, Maitreyi, who is also my equal partner and. In my company. We are the co-founders of a company called as Startoon Labs Private Limited. It's based out of Secunderabad here in Telangana. Okay. So I'll start with a small quote by Areen. Good design is like a refrigerator. When it works, no one notices, but when it does not work, things stink. Then you say that things are not working. And so this is what has happened even with us. During our entrepreneurial journey in the last 1.5 years only. So I would love to discuss with you my experiences and how design played a very important role in our company, which is a product development company. Just a quick introduction about ourselves. As Namisha told, I need to introduce myself in detail. I have nothing much, but I am basically qualified and trained as an engineer. I graduated from IIT Madras and basically BE in Electronics and Communication Engineering from VTU, Karnataka. I also pursued business management from Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta. As a researcher, I have 5 international publications, co-inventor of 3 filed and published patents, and I'm an author of a book in my core subject, which is Electronics and Communication Engineering. I've been invited as a speaker at a lot of other forums and addressed more than 10,000 students till date. With a professional experience of 15 years, I started my career in 2005 in Tata Motors, where I was more of a maintenance and a manufacturing person. For one and a half years, I was in Pune. Tata Motors, I spent around 1.5 years. Then I moved to Siemens Bangalore. There I worked in automotive electronics for around 2.5 years. Then I went to IIT Madras. I did MS by Research, which is a 3-year course. Post which I worked at IIT Madras as a senior scientist for around 3 years in collaboration with ISRO. Built 4 important systems of a satellite, all space grade tested. And then post that I went to Academy of Robotics, which is in Visakhapatnam. I was vice president of a startup in innovations and published a paper and filed 2 patents. Post that I moved to DKR Technologies, which is another 6-year-old startup in Hyderabad, where I was heading an engineering group of around 40 people and built some great stuff for consumer industry. Yeah, so currently I'm the CEO and managing director of our company. Coming to Startoon Labs, Startoon Labs is basically a biomedical device company. We build hardware from scratch in our own lab. It's manufactured completely in Hyderabad, so it's a designed and made in India product for Indian market and also for the world market. So with my past 14 years of experience, and also my wife was around 8 years of experience in engineering, we did not know much about design. So it was a tough journey for us. So I was speaking to Namisha saying, I will share the tough part of our journey where we failed because of a bad design. And that was sad because we need to do a lot of work and again invest a lot of time, money for a startup. Money is very, very, time and money, both are very precious. But we went through the hard path because of few design aspects I will share with that. But one thing which I would love to share is the journey of the product, which is called as Fizzy. So we are making a product for the healthcare space, which is into physiotherapy. So physiotherapy, just I'll give you 2 minutes introduction about the product so that the stage is set. So physiotherapy is one sector in healthcare which is still done in a very traditional way. In cardiology, neurology, orthopedics, you have a lot of other machines which are technically, technologically equipped. Doctors have some equipment with which they can diagnose, they can give reports. It's quite quantified. Other areas of healthcare are quite quantified. But physiotherapy is something which is done in a very traditional way. So when we did a lot of market research, so first one was the need identification. We went through this phase, which is very important for any product design and development. So once we did the immersion program, Apollo immersion program, we identified that physiotherapy is a sector where technology needs to be built. So we addressed the gap, and that's how the Fizzy, the product Fizzy came. Fizzy basically stands for Physiotherapy Made Easy. That's how we named it. We trademarked this name, this word, and we are in the phase of validation and getting the pre-orders for the product. So that's what is our product. It's a small wearable device which talks to a mobile phone using using the Bluetooth and Android app, and gathers a lot of data. The technical aspect I won't discuss in this. So these are some of the important things that we did in our product development. One is like the need identification. We went to the, so I think any person or any company, any startup who wants to design a product, the need should be identified. So for need identification, what we did is we went to the hospitals, we spoke to a lot of doctors, physiotherapists, understood what is it that needs to be developed. So that's where the ideation happened. And then basically both of them, market research, understanding what is needed. And then we made prototypes, very crude prototypes, which did not involve much of aesthetics or other usability aspects, but just to make sure that the functional aspect of the product is made. That's what we made here. And then we made a minimum viable product so that it can be integrated in a good way and taken to hospitals for a good validation. And then we did validation in hospitals and clinics. And then finally we did some branding, marketing, so that we also get some pre-orders. But this chain looks very cool here because this is what needs to be followed by any company to make sure that there's a good product market fit. But when we started off, we didn't know that some of the aspects of design are so important in the initial phases. As engineers, we only thought, once you make a product that is working, it's good. Okay, and that cost us huge. So during my presentation, Ram, I'll share where all we did what mistakes. Probably, it can add some value to this talk today. So these are the theoretical part, how we should do. And finally, we somehow definitely followed this path, but initially we went off track. Okay, so my perception of design an year ago. So product has awesome features, that's enough to sell. So once we did market research, we thought, okay, these are the things that are not yet there which need to be addressed. And we made it, we made the functional prototype, we made all the electronics, we wrote the algorithms, we wrote everything. And once we felt that, okay, the product is doing what it is supposed to do, whatever gap it had, there was in the market, we addressed that, we thought that's enough. So, and that's enough to sell. But later we came to know, actually that's not enough to sell. I'll tell my story again later. And then another sad part, so this is all what in the slide, I have put my ignorance. Heights of ignorance we were in. So packaging is all about putting the product in a cardboard box. I remember we used to take our functional product, which is ugly looking product. Engineering, it's awesome. It was having world-class standard. I can bet on it. We have proved that. But then packaging, we didn't care. We just put the raw product all with wires and all in a small dabba. People used to say, what is this? Though it works, we understand how much of work has gone into it to make something which is not yet there in the world. But it was not acceptable. And usability. Once we took it out, it's difficult to put on the because a wearable product, it's difficult to place the product on the body, on different parts of the body, and which we have not considered. We just saw, okay, it should somehow fix, and once we get the readings on the Android application, it's good. It was not like that. And Android application was another thing. Android application, all we had was some black and white screens with little bit of colors. No usability, no flow, but it was showing all the graphs that we wanted. So, and that was, this is how I was, and our team was, we were very ignorant, but now we are not. But it's a great journey that we covered in, the learning that was there. So only we had a functional app with the nice readings and all. Engineering data was awesome, but look-wise, it was again completely screwed up. And as far as the logos are concerned, logos are very important for branding. So we used to go and speak at different events and brand about the company and the work that we do. But then we understood that the logo also speaks about the company. And basic logos we made, we used to do some drawings in-house with whatever little bit of creativity we had. We outsourced it to some freelancers. But when they give 4-5 logos, all the logos look same to us. We are because we don't see with the designer's eye, but logo was very, very important. Later on we came to know, because logo should speak about a lot about the company and the product. And the presentation was also, like an engineer's presentation, only a white slide with black text, and used to pitch to investors and all. It was crazy. So this was my perception. How many of you are engineers here? Right, are you resonating with my talk? Yes? Let the camera here. Yeah, because this is what we have, It's very sad, but we are not taught about this in our engineering. We are completely away from design. Though we do engineering design, but there's other aspect of design which a product should have. So this was our perspective. So our design journey, this is something which speaks in itself. So this is what we had, a small 10 rupees plastic box with a small screen. This was the first prototype we had, and we took it to the hospital. So as you see, this is the wearable device, okay, the final one. Not very beautiful even today. We are working on one more, where one of our consultants who is from NID Ahmedabad is helping us. So we are expecting a good aesthetics product will come out, but this is also reasonably good because we got great feedback. Anyways, I would like to start my journey. This is how we started after 2 months of doing market research, which is just about some circuits going into this plastic casing and big wires coming out. So what happened was, when the wearable modules were put on the body, which was for the first time, body of the patient, we saw that the wires themselves are obstructing the patient to do exercises. Till then everything was good, because we knew what sensors will go, what will go, But once the sensors were there and the real-time scenario came, we were in trouble. That is where we thought we have to remove these wires. And then, the idea of wireless product came up. Till then only the functionality was important. But you see, market research and validation in the initial phases from the design front is very, very important. If we wouldn't have done it in such a crude prototype stage, saying, we'll get really bad feedback and people will not like our product, it might damage the image that we are putting. If we thought like that, then our product would not have been, once we 1.5 year of journey would have gone in vain. So, something like you make a crude prototype in the beginning, a functional prototype, but please take it to the end users and see what is happening. So that's where the big input came, because not just because it was not looking good, but also because the wires themselves were obstructing. Physiotherapy is all about exercises. And when wires are hanging, that's a very bad product, because it's restricting your motion. Okay. Then we came up with this module, you see this? So from here to here, it took almost 3.5 months for us. Then what happened is, we have only one wire between these two sensors. These are the variable modules. But now this is a wireless module. And this wireless module is talking to the receiver module wirelessly, and again the screen. If you see, these were connected with wires, right? Now it's not connected. We made this. Good amount of research was done, and then we took it again to the market. Again we got a bad feedback. The feedback was basically these modules were bulky. When you wear it, when two modules are here, there is a restriction of motion again. So that's what, though we have solved one problem, but we were again having some more problems. Second important problem was, this is the receiver module. When we started using it on patients, we saw that the physiotherapist or the doctor wanted to enter the credentials of the patient. And this device that you see, a small handheld device, the interaction was not there. The human-machine interaction was not here in this. You have only 3 buttons, I don't know if it's visible. 3 top buttons were there. And we could not enter patient's data into it. So though we solved one problem, the range of motion was great, the feel of the device was good, usability was also much better because of these elastics and a lot of Velcro and a lot of research we did while migrating from this level to this level, but the user interaction problem happened. We could not help, but what we thought was, now we have to remove this dedicated receiver and then have something good as a machine and human interface. That's why we came up with the idea of having a mobile phone because every physiotherapist, every doctor has a smartphone. That's how we thought, let's make that. And then between this and this, there was almost a 6 months gap. We made these modules, and this is a completely 3D printed module, but a lot of design theory was applied to it, like saying that it has to be inspired from an organic form, it has to be inspired by some nature and some, all those things were there. They were all new to us because our designer was doing that. But when we showed this to the end users and some of our designer friends from different renowned institutions in the world, they said, hey, this product is not speaking. This product, it is so bulky, and blue is not a dark blue color is not a medical color at all. So we got that kind of feedback, but we migrated a lot between this and this, not only from the form front. Those 6 months of time we invested to make sure that the device works much better than what this was doing. And also the end receiver interface was also different, because now it has to map to the end user, which is an Android app. So this did not work well. Then finally we designed a small sleek product. It's made up of ABS plastic, and this is what is the current form, which is actually well accepted by our physiotherapists and doctor community. We have put it in a nice packaging, and all the design aspects we tried to cover as much as possible with a lot of consultancy and all. So this journey was almost for 1.5 years. The big thing basically why we wrote here is we are also building a product for the world market, which will have a lot of IP 65, 67 standards and a world-class product. But the journey was huge, and at different stages. The most important lesson here was, at every stage of product development, design and development, we went to the end user and made sure what we are assuming is actually working or it is not working. So this was the lesson that we learned. Though I can tell it in a very small statement, but it's a very big lesson. So what triggered us here? That's what I was telling. Feedback, feedback, feedback. Every time, whatever we did, as engineers, we had assumed something, but we got feedback from normal users. And a lot of designer friends who we had, we spoke to them, and definitely feedback helped us. So I think the best feedback is when you have the customer giving you a feedback. So without any, without any, constraint, please go to the end user with whatever MVP you have and get a feedback to save time and money and effort. Okay, that was our journey, and design played a role. As I wanted to say was design, got evolved every time when we moved. So design, what I also wanted to say was design is not just about the aesthetics part of the product. Most of the engineers like us and other people also think, take care. Let us make something which is working, and design I will take care at the end. Design is not just the aesthetics. That's what we learned in a very hard way, which I wanted to communicate to you today. Design is looks and aesthetics are only a small aspect of the product. Design is about a lot of other aspects in the entire thing, from the MVP till the packaging. Actually, design plays a role. The prototyping phase, the usability part. There's a lot of design in usability. Like the way I'm holding this. See, there's a good design in this. Very convenient for me to hold here. So this is just about communicating to this wirelessly via some technology. It might work, but it's so convenient for me to hold it and operate it. Everything is usable. So design is not just aesthetics. Design is about the overall product, the usability part, making sure that it is directly fitting to the market, addressing every small aspect of the product. I think design is involved. So that's a myth which should be removed from the minds now. Okay. Yeah. So during this last 1.5 years, even my previous company where I was heading the design, was interacting with the design people also, design team also. There were good number of employees from NID, Ahmedabad, and all there. I had a very good interaction. That's where I learned the importance of design also. So one thing which in a product development company or any other, or a services developer, whether it's software or hardware or whatever product it is, there should be a very close interaction between engineers and designers. And sometimes there's also a conflict. I don't know how many people know this, but sometimes there's also a conflict between the teams. The reason being, see, designers will say, hey, this is how it should look, aesthetically it's beautiful, this, that. But when it comes to manufacturing, the exact curves of the product cannot be actually manufactured sometimes. So a clear understanding between the design and the engineering team is very, very mandatory, is what I learned. So that's one thing, and very clear information sharing between the teams should be done. Okay. And one more important challenge was, what is always on paper is not always doable. So there's always some compromise, because engineers will always want the product to be functional. Designers will say no. Like in my previous company, my CEOs always used to say, hey, make the product thin, make the product thin. I cannot make it thinner and thinner because there are some discrete components in the system which cannot. I am not manufacturing it in India. So some people don't understand, but it's difficult, to work with that kind. So we should have a clear understanding of different departments, understand each other's pain points, and then try to work collaboratively so that the product comes out to be, really good. Like for example, a capacitor, it's minimum 3 mm. The best capacitor on this planet is also 2 mm. One important aspect which I wanted to focus here was, design has a direct impact on timelines and budget. So this cannot be taken as a negative part. What I want to say is, design should be incorporated in the project from day zero, and it should be budgeted for. That's where we went wrong, because we thought it's all about product development, just making the functional aspect. So when we design a product, whether it's a software or hardware product, make sure design is also budgeted for that impact on, because as the title of this presentation says, good design for good business. So as entrepreneurs, fresh entrepreneurs, you should also please consider design from day zero. And design is also expensive. Designers are expensive. So please make sure you budget when you raise your funding and all. Please make sure, because it is very important. Otherwise, as it is, you will definitely have to put that amount of money and time to make the product really good. We cannot escape that. So better, please budget for time and money from day zero, making sure at every aspect of prototyping, every stage of prototyping, the usability, the overall aspects are always, given. You always receive a good feedback for everything. Okay, so it has a direct impact, and please make sure it's always there. this is some problem. I think I would like to talk quickly on this. Sometimes you need to go ahead with not so good design also. I'll tell you what happened was in one of the previous companies where I was working, the CEO always wanted a world-class product. That's awesome. There's no doubt about it, because that kind of vision and dream in India is very rare, where you feel that you should build something for the world, which is appreciated by the world. Why should only neighboring countries build great products? Why not India? That kind of vision he had, which is great. But what happened was, because of that, he was going on filtering. He's not allowing the engineering teams to freeze on certain ideas. Going on iterating. So what happened, though the product was very novel when it was started, it was not taken out to market. And the market got saturated. So the end product looks awesome today, but there's no market. You keep on iterating and you get awesome product coming out, but sadly you should also keep, design has direct impact on time. This is what we have experienced. I think it's very important. So make sure you draw that thin line and say, hey, no, and this is the phase at which I want to take it to market. So once you take it to market, you capture the market. It may be 20%, but people in the world will know, okay, there is a company which is making such a novel product, and then you iterate. And you also, the idea behind is, if you take the product to market with basic design, usability, looks in place, because there's no end to beautiful design. You can always keep on making it more beautiful, more beautiful. So it's always good if you take it to market and get some feedback and launch version 2. Nothing wrong in launching version 2. Okay. And one more aspect here is designers must also be aware of manufacturing processes. This is also from the personal experience, where as I told, everything on paper cannot be put, cannot be fabricated on machines, because we face such questions. On the CAD modeling or whatever the rendering softwares we have, products look beautiful, but when we take it to the manufacturer, they say, hey, this kind of curve is not possible. So these are some practical challenges. I'm not saying this is good or this is good, but I think knowing all these things is very important for an entrepreneur, to make sure that we draw that thin line and take the product forward in the right direction. Okay? And as I told, feedback must be taken always very seriously. One more important thing, feedback should be taken seriously in a very positive way. I hope you got my point.
Yes.
So this is another challenge, because the work that we do with a lot of hard work, we always assume we should get great feedback. If something goes wrong, then we get upset, and then there's a conflict between the teams, saying, engineering guys are not favoring design guys are not favoring. They say these guys lack engineering skills. There's a lot of, so please take the feedback serious, because this feedback is from the customers. So you cannot argue with the designer saying, this is good, this is bad. Finally, what does an entrepreneur want, or what does the CEO want? He wants the product to be sold and accepted by the market. Yes or no? So it's not about how much skill you have or from which institute you graduated or whatever. It's about, is the product being liked by the customer and used by the customer or not? This is what I learned, with a very tough way. So feedback should be, when we take the product to the market, when the marketing team takes the product to the market, we get a feedback, and it should be communicated directly with two people, the head of engineering and head of design. This is all important in a company. Yeah, and so in medical products, since ours is a medical product, these are some of the design areas which we focused on. The aesthetics and the form of the product, which I told you, the user interaction, which I told, all these things we got from the end customer, and we incorporated in the product. So the earlier you do that, the awesome it is. We lost some time. We lost maybe 3-4 months of time, but good that we understood it much ahead. It's better late than never. So that's what we understood. So, and user experience. These are some of the things. I think in any other product it is the same. And then in the app, you should always focus on the UX, user experience, and how is he using. Like what happened was, I'll tell about our own ignorance. In the application that we made an icon of something which needs to be clicked. Sadly, it did not look like an icon. That's true, because we wrote, connect, please, connect to fees. Connect to fees is what we wrote. Okay, it was clearly visible. The fees was asking where to connect. I said click on that. Actually, so that's what happened. So a lot of things go in the user interaction front, how the icon should be there. I think designers are well aware of that. But as from my perspective, I was telling. and user interaction, and obviously the branding part, the way the slides look, the way the packaging looks. Okay, packaging plays a very important role. Is recently what I was understanding, because whether the product works or not, what they see is first thing, the dabba, the beautiful picture. So that also we understood, that branding and packaging, the way you put, the way you arrange the things in, the products in the packaging is also important. For example, when you open the box, you should know immediately what is the first thing you should see. Because if suppose five or six things are there in the package, you should not be confused that whether you should plug the wire or the USB cable or the device. So there are lots of concepts. I think all those things but I was learning all those things, and that's how we designed all our entire product from scratch. And impact on business, premium looking product leads to good position and better business definitely. Timeline should be kept in mind from day zero. Please consider design. Design is not just about aesthetics, it's about the entire product from day zero at every stage and from feedback, okay? Looks will lead to sales in long term usage, depends on, definitely. See, looks will say, this is a very important thing which we learned recently. Looks will lead to sales, definitely, quick sales, because they will be attracted. But it's the good engineering that will, keep the brand up and always, okay? So one triggers the sales and other makes sure that the sales will happen faster. So for a business and for a product company, design and engineering are very, very important. So that's all from my end. I think I addressed few of my learnings, a lot of learnings in a very small time, with the time that I have. I don't know how much time happened. I'm open to anything if you have in your mind. Any questions, any queries? Because this will be a first-hand answers from you to you. So I'm sure it will add value. Please, sir, please.
Regarding the timelines, can you give some idea of how to come out with the design timeline, how to estimate design time?
Okay, with whatever little experience I have, I will share it. My work is done. See, when we go to a designer and we say, hey, how much time does it take? So he will say, okay, I'll come back. He'll think. And he will say that, okay, I need so much of time. Maybe a month of time, he will say. But we as entrepreneurs and as are leaders of the company, we have our own timeline to launch the product. Correct? So when he says 1 month, let us give him a week's time or so and see how it is progressing. That's how I did. And within a week or so, he will come up with something, because he's not that he's doing it on the last day of the month. He's actually progressing with some sketches and all. So we were interfering in the work. And not interfering doesn't mean disturbing. We were actually engaging ourselves in the work and trying to understand where is he moving, because the kind of picture we have, he will not have for the product also. So what we used to do, me and my wife, we used to go ask him, what is it that you're doing? After a week, give him some time, relax, let him relax, and he'll come up with something. Once he comes up, it may be in line with what we want, or it might not be. If it is in line, we will ask him to refine that in some more time, correct? But as businessmen and as entrepreneurs, our decision is final, correct? Because it impacts the business directly. So if 1 month of time is, if you're able to afford a month of time with weekly reviews, then it's okay. If 1 month is huge, as I told in one of my slides, sometimes need to go with not so good design. See, it's not that after a month he will come up with the best design. If you give him 1 more month, he will do again something more, correct? So the basic one which he says is what, I think it's a subjective thing. It's not an answer that I can give. But what we did was we were pushing him till the level of satisfaction such that it looks okay. So as I told you, we need to take the product to market first. That's what we did, and it helped us a lot. His timeline should not impact your business. Otherwise, I think that is not the thing. So as long as his timelines are within our timelines, is great. If his timelines are more than our timelines, then let's do some optimization and make sure that at least we go, let the customer give a feedback. As it is, we'll definitely address it. Otherwise, we'll not be able to sell. So that's what, sir. So some tentative estimate. And I think just maybe not in line with this question, but one more thing which I recollected. Not just the timeline. Time has direct impact on budget. So we were budgeting a small amount for design, and then later on, when we went to the consultants, they were charging huge money. So I think as a businessman, if you're asking me this question, we have to make sure not just the timeline, but also if you're outsourcing the design, then I think you should also have a prior input about what kind of pricing they will do. I think keeping all this, if both timeline and money are within our scope as an entrepreneur and with the timeline that we want to launch the product, it's good. If it's extending, then we will definitely have to cut it. So I have faced this problem. Go ahead with not so good design, but it is okay, as I told you, because as business, you should at least go into the market and tap it. If you are novel and first time in the world. Otherwise, there is no end to iteration, and we may lose the game. I don't know if I satisfied you, but I think some optimization is required.
Sure.
Anything else, please? Yeah.
So based on your experience, sir, if you have to stack rank amongst these three things,
Sorry, what is it? What?
if you have to stack rank
Okay.
these three things, simplicity, uniformity, and intuitiveness, how would you do that?
Simplicity.
Uniformity
Okay.
and intuitiveness.
But what is your end goal? What do you want to?
You want to
These
build a
things-
great product.
You want to build? Okay.
All the three are important,
Yeah.
but what would be the order that you would put to all these three? There is no right or wrong answer to this, so just based on your experience.
Yeah, almost all come, parallelly, not in a
Yeah.
sequential. But I feel, see, the product, whether it's a software product or a hardware product, okay, it should be simple. See, if I take this device and I don't know what to press, see, it's like intuitive. As I was thinking it was all in line, but it's simple. It's simple. I know that I need to press this, or something. Okay, simple. From simplicity, I'm telling the user interface, whatever.
Okay.
That's what, right? When you say a product is simple to use, I can just say, I'll pick it up, I know what to turn on, I know, I can see everything here. So it should be simple, okay? Intuitive, so first thing I'll put as simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Second, I'll put intuitive.
Alright.
Intuitive because, as I told, when we developed the app, we didn't even know that, someone has to press that icon. It was not looking like, it should be intuitive. Where to press. Most of the times the icons are, also there are guidelines where you say you have to put the icons here only, on the right side, because people will look at those icons and they want to press. Okay. So intuitiveness is also important if there is a standardization, in that area segment, and you are building something which is, incrementally better than an existing product. Then it should be intuitive, right? If I make a laptop with the keypad here and screen here, I will, by closed eyes also I can press like this, right? So for products which are already there and you are building something, then I think it's intuitively you can just do that. If I have to drive a car, I know to drive one car. Another car, intuitively I'll just change the gears, correct? But if the gear is somewhere else, so it should be simple and intuitive. Simple, whether it's a product is novel or which is already there, simplicity is always works. Okay, so first is simplicity for me. Intuitive when the product is already there and you are making a version of it with advanced features or something. So make sure it's intuitive, the UI is intuitive and the usability is intuitive. And uniqueness, obviously, I think is always
Uniformity.
uniformity is what you said. Uniformity, I don't know how you thought in your mind. Uniformity means how did you compare with different products? Or, once you had a very, very crude thing also, which is just satisfying the gap that you wanted to fill, please say it. Because, there is immense feedback that comes, and sometimes they just give you even without knowing, and that's the thing which you never thought of. Okay. So at every stage, when you feel that first is when you made something, which addresses that gap. Mostly from the functional, others will not take it. Please go, because a physiotherapist or a doctor will look at your product, in my case, in an entirely different manner, which I will never be able to see with my eyes because I am blinded by my education. Because of the engineering part, we don't see that, but the doctor sees. Okay? So first thing. Second thing, you might go again, once you address the gaps or the feedback that you got. Otherwise, there's no when you go to the application, you have to put the credibility also. So I think at every stage, where you do some incremental improvements in your product, you have to take it. That's why it's that feedback. Otherwise, without that, otherwise it will be only difficult for you at the end. You are putting your time, money. At the end of the day, this product is, because finally he has to use it. If you're not taking his feedback, then it will have a bad impact. So I think at every stage, where you are doing some incremental change in your product, based on the earlier feedback, I think you should go and get it. Nothing wrong with it. I think different. Same thing you should definitely go, but different also you should go. Because for different people, they look at a product differently. He may give you some new feedback. Because this guy might be saturated with his answers.
Is there a difference? Is it the same thing?
Market research and design research.
Yeah. So that's what I'm starting, because design research would mean trying to understand the user and trying to see if the thing that you've designed is solving the need for whether there are usability problems or things like that.
See, I'll just tell you, but what was the question between these two?
The difference, like, is there a very clear difference?
See, both are different. Definitely both are different. As you said. What we did was, let us see from the entrepreneur and product development front. What we did was, when we took the product out for feedback, we also used to take our designer with us, the usability part. Getting my point, no? Because we see the product, whether the graph is working fine, whether the flow is good, everything is good. But when a designer looks from a usability front, from a user experience front, that adds a different value. So my inputs are always good as an engineer, but his inputs also good. Okay. So he used to accompany us when we were going with for feedback and iterations. So we used to get both the inputs. Both are different, but obviously, right? If I keep on improvising the engineering part, design will lag. Correct? If I only work on aesthetics and overall design part, engineering front will lag. So while getting feedback, we were getting. Whenever we had time, we used to take our designer also.
So market research you're saying is understanding if the functionality of the product is in line with what you want.
So you're asking, what is market research?
Yeah.
See, market research is basically you are going with an open mind, okay? But you have chosen a specific field. For example, we have chosen, we will do something in healthcare because that's our area of study and area of work. Okay? So we went into a hospital with open mind. We went to 10 different departments. We call it as an immersion program. There are some programs where you are asked to move from one department to other, interact with the doctors, interact with the patients. We are allowed to do that. Okay? And then we understand which department has a gap. Because I have frozen my healthcare. Now in healthcare there are 10 different departments. We moved it from every department. That's where we said, no, we'll do something in physiotherapy. Because that's where some engineering is lacking and that's where real device is lacking. Like the device that we are developing, right? It's like a stethoscope for a physiotherapy. Such a basic device. That is also not there. Okay, so for market research, we understand what is the need in the market. And did it answer your question? Okay. One more important aspect, not just one thing. As engineers, we feel, there's so much of idea in the mind, okay? So many novel ideas, thoughts come. But sometimes there's no market fit. That is not needed in the market. So please avoid that, otherwise we'll be in a very bad state. Because we believe in our idea and we say, hey, this is. So market research is the first step, as I have put also in my slides. See, need identification market. Without that, please don't build up because you will not be able to sell it. You can do as a research, but okay. Added some value.